The bases have pretty much made up their mind already. This isn't changing anyone's mind that's a fervent Biden supporter or a fervent Trump supporter. However, the election is coming down to independent voters, and pollsters that I've talked to within the past 24 hours are saying this isn't the issue for independent voters, but it's a piece of a larger puzzle. So how does the Biden campaign and Democrats convince those independents, hey, vote Democrat, vote for Biden?
Look, again, we need to see the affirmative vision. He needs to make the case that he inherited an economy that was decimated coming off of COVID, that because of the decisions that he and his administration have made, they righted the ship. Unemployment is down. The stock market has been doing well. Inflation is not going down quickly enough, but it is trending in the right direction, hoping for a future rate hike, not that far, or a rate cut, not that far away from now. He needs to talk about how he righted the ship, and he needs to be given 4 more years in order to finish the job and tell Americans what that's going to look like, practically speaking, for their lives. Because as you and I both know, we live not in a 24-hour news cycle, we live in a 3-hour news cycle at this point. And so while this was a historic moment, as you and I were talking about before the show, how many times have we all said to ourselves in the last few years, this is an historic moment? In a couple of weeks, you're going to have Hunter Biden on trial. So then the show is going to move to that. The sentencing will come in July. We've got debates coming up in a couple of weeks. So many things are going to happen between this moment and November that I think by the time we get to November, this may almost feel like a faint memory, unless the judge decides to sentence the former president to jail, which would be extraordinary for president to do.
That's a really, interesting point. I mean, we're 5 months away from a presidential election. This could seem like a faint memory to many because, there's so many things that can and will happen until then. Do you think Democrats keep this at the forefront of people's memories or instead switch and paint that picture of what America looks like under 4 more years of Biden?
I think they've got to do both. And I think the smart move would be for the president and his team to stay sort of above the fray and talk about the affirmative vision and what sticking with him is going to look like and why Democrats are the right choice on things like personal choice for reproductive health, on the economy, on infrastructure, et cetera, and then have sort of the independent super PACs and the IEs do the dirty work and say, is the United States really going to put a convicted felon in the White House? Is that who we are? And go after Donald Trump for all of his negatives and remind people about January 6th and all of his other looming indictments. And so I think it's a dual-pronged strategy. You can't do one, you've got to do both. But I think the president and his team have been behind the 8 ball for 2 years now on telling their story and why keeping him in office and keeping this administration in place is what's best for the American people. So they got to get off the mat and start doing that much more aggressively.